This is a video tour of 929 Alabama, and I want to get a quick view of the street before we go into the house itself. We're just off of 9th Street, so 9th Street is running right here. And as I pan to my left, Alabama leads right up to campus. So we're right on the edge of campus here. So I would say this neighborhood is going to be highly rented out by students just due to the proximity to KU. So panning around, I am standing in the front yard in 929 Alabama, and it is all fenced in with this cute little white picket fence. But it's not like sealed off. It's just got a fence around it so you can see the gap there in between the bushes. So house itself, the paint looks pretty good on the outside. The siding of it looks pretty decent as well, looking around at it. And walking up, we've got a little porch here on the front of the property. The porch feels quite sturdy as well. You can see adorable porch swing. They've painted this upper section of ceiling here. And it's all pretty bright and just sits out so you've got a view of the neighborhood and these big mature trees. So coming into the house itself, and you walk directly into the living room space. And so I'm just going to pan the living room here. You have hardwood floors in the property, which have surely been refinished since the house was initially built. To my right goes upstairs, but we're going to do the bottom floor first so you can see all of that. I would say that the ceiling's got plaster on it. The rest of it looks like it might be part plaster, part sheetrock, kind of depending on the area that we're standing in. The windows are the old pulley system windows, as you can see, pulley system right there. So they're only going to be single pane, wood cased sort of windows throughout the property, which is really standard for a house this age. So you walk directly through the living room, brings you into a pretty large dining room space. You can see that not only do they have a desk in here, but they also have a piano and their dining room table. So good amount of space here. There is a closet to my right, which just allows for a little bit of storage here in the dining. And then it's hard to tell, but some of these windows are the old rolled glass windows, and so they're just kind of wavy in appearance. Others of them have clearly been replaced, I think, just because they're not as wavy looking, but these bottom ones all look to be probably original. So a little bit of settling cracks on the walls here, but again, not really uncommon with a house this age. And if it's got plaster on the walls, it tends to crack a little bit more than if it was sheetrock. So built-ins here on the back side of the dining room. And then we're going to walk into the kitchen. So you've got a tiled kitchen floor, and we're going to pan the kitchen here. So the kitchen's got Formica countertops. You do have a tile backsplash in here. And just a lot of really interesting features, like this little butt out that she's got storage on. You've got exposed beams here in the kitchen. I can see where they've patched some stuff in the ceiling here, but I'm not sure. I assume it's from maybe settling, because you can see that's a settling crack they've patched. So panning the kitchen, there's a decent amount of cupboard space for the kitchen being smaller, for sure. Little island here. And then to my right, you have this whole built-in cabinet storage section. So panning around the kitchen, and we're going to walk through the kitchen into this little mud room in the back. So it is a tiled floor here in the mud room. And you can tell it was built on, because this is the external of the house, so built on at some point. And if you turn to the right, once you get through this little section, you actually come into a little half bath for guests, as well as the laundry. So the laundry is kind of hidden. As you walk in here, this is actually the door to the laundry, and it almost, I mean, just looks like a normal cabinet, but then you open it up and it's got your laundry in it. Okay, so moving back out of this bathroom, and we are going to see the backyard space. Just another little storage area here before we hit the outside. So going into the backyard, it feels very secret garden as you walk back here. You can see there are multiple types of fencing throughout the property, and the owner has clearly done a lot of landscaping out here. So, very cute. I'm standing on a deck, and the deck has these stone steps that come down from it, which is a really fun and interesting choice. The deck itself is older, and you can see that they've replaced some of the boards here in the deck that were probably warping. The back of the house is painted just like the front is, but I would say the back looks a little bit more messy. I mean, just like they didn't scrape it quite as well, I would imagine, because it's not front facing. But I don't see any rot or anything as I'm looking around back here. It all seems to be pretty good towards the top and upper areas of the house. The only rot that I really see is this bottom corner here by the door. So coming around the right side of this patio, you have the air conditioner system and a little bit more rot in here. Looks like some of those boards are a little bit soft potentially. Okay, so stepping off of this deck, you can see that you have a 2-car garage that's attached to the back of this property, as well as just kind of some alley parking back here, which is great because you don't want to be parking in front of the house on a busy street with a bunch of college students that are living here. So I'm going to walk back into the alley just so you can kind of see this parking area and drive-through area here. So the garage doesn't have a door on it that I can just walk through and show you. But you can get an idea for the size of the garage. And again, it's in pretty good condition. The roof is only a composition roof. It looks older. The shingles are peeling up and could probably use a re-roof. But it's the same roof that's on the house proper, which is just a 20-year composition roof. So I would say if they were put on it at the same time, this roof is potentially getting towards the end of its life. So going back into the backyard, and we're going to move into the house so that we can finish up the tour of the house. Okay, so now we are back inside the little mudroom, and we are going to walk through the mudroom and take a look at the basement of the house. Oh, walk up here. Okay. All right, basement. So I don't see a railing, but that's, kind of common. And we're walking down into a cellar basement. So here is a view of the basement. You can see you've got the old stone foundation. You have a cement floor that's been poured down here, and honestly, it's a lot cleaner than most of the cellar basements we see. You can see where they've replaced some mortar in the walls in some places. I would assume to help keep it a little bit drier, because in these cellar basements, you're always going to have a certain amount of seepage that just happens. So copper piping and PVC piping throughout this area, and the ceilings are not very high. I would say they're probably 5.5 feet maybe, as I'm standing here. So you have a little bit of a step down that's been created in this basement, and that's what holds the furnace here and the water heater in the basement. So you can see they've got a dehumidifier running, as they should in a cellar or basement, but overall it's pretty dry. So we are going to stop the video here and pick it back up upstairs.